In December 2017, the Supreme Court of Kenya struck down the mandatory death penalty as unconstitutional. But what does this mean? It does not mean that people can no longer be sentenced to death. It simply means that the death penalty cannot be the only possible punishment. Previously, an offender would automatically be sentenced to death if convicted of certain crimes, including murder and robbery or even attempted robbery, where they used violence, carried a weapon, or committed the crime with another person. It would not matter if they had never committed a crime before, they were a young mother, or they had only stolen a chicken. The judge would not be able to take these things into account. Thousands of prisoners have been sentenced to death under this law. But no one has been hanged since 1987, so Kenya's prisons are very overcrowded. Death row prisoners are kept separately from other prisoners and are generally not allowed to work or take part in educational programs. This makes it very expensive to keep prisoners on death row, a cost of 240 Kenyan shillings per day. Multiply that by the 1,000 or so prisoners on death row, and the government is spending around 87.6 million Kenyan shillings per year. Many of these prisoners are not a threat to society and do not need to be there. Take Irene. Irene is 48 years old. She has spent the last 18 years in prison after being sentenced to death for helping to plan a robbery. She wasn't even at the scene of the crime. Irene says, "What I knew those days is not what I know today. I have changed." Irene has been a model prisoner with not one single disciplinary offense in 18 years. She has also participated in rehabilitation and skills training. Wilson was just 19 years old when he was sentenced to death for allegedly taking part in a robbery, a charge he has always denied. He explains that he was only 2 months in Nairobi as a student of accounting when he was caught in the crossfire at a bank robbery. "No one knew me. I had no one to vouch for me." Wilson has served 22 years in prison, during which time he has completed a law degree with the support of a judge. There are many others in similar positions. The Supreme Court found the mandatory death penalty unfair because it did not let prisoners like Irene and Wilson give reasons why they should not get the death penalty. The ruling follows decisions by many other countries around the world that have rejected the mandatory death penalty. Judges will now be able to decide whether to impose the death penalty or whether to impose a sentence of imprisonment instead. Prisoners sentenced to death under the old law will be resentenced. For the first time, the judge will be able to consider all the details of their cases. Those who have served sufficient punishment and pose no threat to society may even be released. A task force has been set up to recommend what happens next, including how to deal with the thousands of prisoners who should be resentenced and what changes Parliament should make to the law. To help inform its recommendations, the task force has spoken to experts and carried out research to find out about what other countries have done. It has also spoken to Kenyans. To read the recommendations, please visit the following link.